students, welcome to the welder trade. In continuation of our learning, in this topic we will learn about the pipe flange joint on an MS plate with an MS pipe with a 50 mm diameter and a 3 mm wall thickness. 1F using shielded metal arc welding.
Objectives: take a full-length MS sheet of 3 mm thickness. Mark an internal and external circle on a square plate. Cut the internal and the external circles using oxyacetylene gas cutting. Clean the plate with a steel wire brush. Inspect the cutting for any external deformities. Now, let us look at the tools required for the preparation of a flange joint on an MS plate, marking and cutting with an MS pipe 50 mm by 3 mm WT using the oxyacetylene welding process. Steel rule, scriber, prick punch, ball peen hammer, flat file, bench vise, tri-square, tongs, chipping hammer, steel wire brush, electrode cable and earth cable, electrode holder, electrode, personal protective equipment, SMAW welding plant machine and their setup accessories, weld gauge, circle cutting guide, marking material, C-clamp. Now let us see the welding preparations for a pipe flange joint on an MS plate with an MS pipe 50 mm by 3 mm WT 1F using shielded metal arc welding. Begin by obtaining a full-length MS sheet with a thickness of 3 mm. Apply marking media such as chalk over the MS plate. Using a ruler and a scriber, mark the cutting size as 100 mm in length and 100 mm in width. Punch mark along the marked lines using a prick punch and a hammer. Set up the hand shearing machine on the welding table. Place the marked sheet on the shearing machine, ensuring it aligns with the cutting line axis. Gradually apply pressure on the handle to ensure a straight line cut. Check to ensure that the sheet remains undistorted during cutting. If any distortion occurs, place it on the anvil and remove the distortion using a hammer. Use a tri-square to check the squareness of the plate. Thoroughly clean the sheet, removing any oil, grease or dirt. Let us see how to perform the cutting process of an MS plate and an MS pipe with a 50 mm by 3 mm WT for a pipe flange joint using the oxyacetylene welding process. Place the sheet on the welding table. Have a spring divider ready for drawing the circle. Inspect the spring divider to ensure it is in working condition. Prepare a marker and scriber for marking measurements. Find the center of the 3 mm thick square plate by drawing 2 diagonals and making a dot at the intersection of these diagonals using a dot punch. With the spring divider, scribe a circle with a 25 mm radius at the center of the square plate and another larger circle with a radius of 45 mm. Set the acetylene gas pressure to 0.15 kg per centimeter square and the oxygen gas pressure to 1.5 kg per centimeter square for cutting the 3 mm MS plate. Create a neutral flame and preheat the center point of one of the plate's edges until it reaches a bright red hot condition or kindling temperature. Depress the oxygen cutting lever and manually move the torch from the edge of the plate to the punch-marked circumference of the larger circle. Utilize a roller guide and a circle cutting attachment to start cutting the larger external circle with a 90 mm diameter. Move the torch from the pierced hole towards the circumference and complete the cutting of the 50 mm diameter hole using a small circle cutting attachment. To cut the internal circle, first pierce a small hole about 10 mm inside the circumference of the 50 mm diameter circle. Move the torch from the pierced hole towards the circumference and complete the cutting of the 50 mm diameter hole using a small circle cutting attachment. Clean the cut edges with a steel wire brush. File the inside face of the cut edges using a half-round file.
Recap. In this topic, you have learnt how to obtain a full-length MS sheet with a thickness of 3 mm. Mark both internal and external circles on a square plate. Cut the internal and external circles using oxyacetylene gas cutting. Clean the plate using a steel wire brush. Inspect the cut for any external deformities.